Welcome back after lunch. Hope that was enjoyable. We now have something we haven't tried before, and that's a series of 4 lightning talks. So this is a little bit of an experiment, but we'll see how it goes. The part of the idea was just to do something a little bit lively immediately after the lunch break. So what we've got is 4 short presentations from people in universities. So I mean, I don't know the exact nature of what people are going to talk about, but I think it's a mix of kind of project activity and sort of studies and surveys that people have done and so on. So I think it's kind of a little bit of a mix of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. So first up, we've got Nick Skelton from the University of Bristol. Okay, Nick.
Thank you, Andy. So I have 6 minutes in which to liven you up, challenge you, wake you up from your stupor, and he doesn't have a clue what I'm going to say, so this could be dangerous. I'm going to think a little bit about how we think about IT and how we think about mobile IT in particular, and maybe some of the traps that we fall into, and some of the suggestions as to how we could think a little differently. Right. This is how we used to think. We used to think about the office. This was our IT. We used to think like David Brent. Some of our conceptions we used to have, and maybe we still have. Staff have one desktop computer, and they do most of their work on one desktop computer in their office. Students have one laptop, and that laptop sits on their desk in their hall of residence bedroom, and 90% of the time. It's not actually mobile. Smartphones. Oh, a few people have got smartphones, but we're not quite sure about those. And we want to take very tight control on them, the control model that Chris was talking about earlier. So everybody's got to have the same. And it's got to be locked down and carefully controlled and secure and encrypted, otherwise we get very nervous. Oh, and it's very expensive. We're extremely scared about these massive, enormous phone bills that you can get for your data contract. That is how we used to think. This is how we ought to think. This 12-month-old, she has no preconceptions, she's just getting on with it. And that's actually what our staff and students are doing, irrespective of whatever we here today are doing. They're just doing it anyway. So they're working anywhere and everywhere, 24 hours. Actually, staff have always done this, especially academics. It's their vocation. They've always been mobile. It's just now that us in IT realise this. Students, they haven't just got one laptop. They've got a laptop, they've got an iPod, they've got maybe some sort of e-reader or a games console. They've got a TV they might access the internet on. They have all of these things. And they've got data contracts and they've got smartphones, as we saw from some of the statistics earlier. And the data contracts aren't expensive. You can get £7.50 a month for a couple of gigabytes. And at that price, it's the same as your domestic broadband. And it will be as common to have a mobile broadband connection on your smartphone as it is today to have a domestic broadband at home. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be expensive. But that's good, because we can't afford it to be expensive. We have no money. It used to be that if we wanted to use mobiles in education, we spent 90% of the money on the kit and the data contract before we even started to think about the education. And we can't do that any longer, which is just as well. This is what we used to build. We used to build things like VPNs and terminal servers, and we thought they were our solution for remote and mobile access. And what we were really doing when we were building those was building a little extension to the office. We were perpetuating a bit of desktop thinking and reusing all our investment in desktops and making it available anywhere. And that's actually really useful, and those are very valuable, important services. But they're a little bit like this sort of David Brent-style playpen, where we don't let the staff and students out to play on the lawn. We just build this little enclosure, a little bit of the office on the lawn. And they don't like that. They don't work like that. It's not fun, it's not pleasant, it's not productive. Mobile is very different to a desktop environment. These are some of the ways in which it's different. There's no single dominant platform. It's like PCs were in the 80s. Nobody quite knows who'll win, and new players come up very quickly. Touch interface is very different to click, and you could have a terminal server on your iPad. Wouldn't be much fun to use. It's very intimate, it's very personal, we have a big connection to it. It's very sensitive to what we're doing right now. It's all about where I am and what the time is. The built-in apps on your smartphone are really powerful, and people prefer to use those. And those apps need to understand the meaning and the context of your data. So my university calendar system works with my iPhone, but using a third-party calendar application, and that doesn't integrate with anything else. So if I have a meeting in a minute's time, it won't vibrate to remind me because it doesn't actually understand. So we need to get all these things to integrate. It's the combination of the hardware and the software and the services all in one that really matters. So we need to think really fundamentally about the data. That's the important thing in mobile. This is something we've done at Bristol. It's a project that was funded by JISC in a rapid innovation grant called Mobile Campus Assistant. It's a web app that's specifically designed for mobiles, and it takes some of your university data like the location of wireless access points, service status, the contact directory, and it formats it and it makes it available on your mobile phone. And that's great. But it was a really interesting challenge. And Mike Jones, the lead developer, is here today, and I hope he doesn't kill me for saying the difficult bit wasn't the development. The difficult bit was getting hold of the data. We were working across teams, across the university, to gather our GPS data and to gather our stats and our service data and make all this available. That was the interesting, challenging part of the project. And having gathered that data, or some of it at least, we can now reuse that. And we can make that available on other platforms, like our display boards we have in the foyer of the building, or on any other platform that comes along. If we can get that data, we can make it available on mobile. So, if we start off thinking about this pyramid, we'd started at the top, and we're quite familiar with building web interfaces for applications. But a lot of our applications only work on a desktop web browser. They might be tied into an ActiveX control, or it might just be that they're formatted for large screen displays. And so they work on any PC. If we can use some standards-based HTML, then they might work on a tablet, on a smart board, on other systems. But if we can think about the data and make that available in maybe an open format, or it doesn't have to be open, it might just be the dominant industry standard format, and expose it that way, we can make it available on anything. So if we stick our lectures in the VLE, you can get at them in the VLE on your desktop. If you make them available as, say, an MP3, you can listen to it on the move, in the gym, on the bus, on your iPod, anywhere. And that's the sort of thing I'm thinking about for mobile. So if I've got one message, it's please think about mobile in every system you're building. When you're building your VLE, your purchasing system, your calendar system, everything, think about the format you're storing your data in and how you can make that available and expose it. And that way we can build mobile into everything we do. Thank you.